Okay, I believe we're about to start. And here we go.
And happy Friday. Wow, that's
Your
loud.
hello cuts out, so
Oh,
just be aware your mic tends to mute itself for the first couple seconds.
well, hello everyone, and happy Friday. Today we are going to be back to sculpting. No more color studies today, um, but we're going to be sculpting a character for the this company called Dunkeldorf Miniatures. Um, they are going to be launching a Kickstarter later this year, and I have been assigned one of their characters called the Toymaker. Um, she has tentatively a name, but I'm not going to announce the name currently until they have decided what officially her name is going to be.
That makes sense.
But we do know that she's a toy maker. So one of the things that I do when I'm starting to work for a new company is I get a sample of some of their miniatures to create a scaling file. You guys may have seen this before, but this is my usual scaling file includes my Captain Hook. And then scaling all of my every new character that I make next to him allows me to maintain continuity between size and proportion of all of my characters in my line. But each line is different. And so this scaling file will be for Dunkeldorf miniatures so that I can match their scale and proportions. And I think you can see this would be their typical male sculpt next to my typical male sculpt. So you can see the proportions are pretty different
Yeah,
um, between the two lines. So I want to make sure that I'm matching their aesthetic and their
they still look good
proportions.
together. You can put them both on the table.
Yeah, for sure. Which is really interesting. But yeah. Um, it looks like their men are not substantially larger than their women, about the same height. And their child miniature here, um, which would normally be about half the scale of like a human, like a normal adult human, theirs looks to be about 2/3 of the scale of a normal human. So just things to keep in mind as we're going to be working on this new character. Let's. Did you put up the concept art for that?
Her concept art is up.
Okay, so you guys can already see the character we're going to be working on. But I'm going to switch over here to our Z-sphere rig, um, which this is not. This is just one that that we're going to use for a starting point, but it's not correctly sized for her yet. So we're going to start that now.
Valendar says, sad afternoon. Uh-oh.
Well, what happened? What's sad?
Now you start everything with Z-spheres, right?
Yes, I do.
If you're not familiar, we are here with Christine Van Patten. She is a miniature sculptor for Reaper Miniatures, Dark Sword Miniatures, Moonlight Miniatures. Uh, she's done some stuff for 3D printed tabletop, a lot of stuff for them. And now uh, Dunkeldorf Miniatures, which is what we're working on today.
So I'm going to get my basic sort of thing here set up, and then I'm going to take this into the other file just to make sure everything matches up okay.
Makes sense.
Um,
Valendar says, here in about a half hour, I have to go to my brother's place. His 15-year-old lab mix had a stroke on Wednesday and is suffering. He's going to be taken to the vet this afternoon and relieved of suffering.
Oh, I'm sorry. That sucks. That's a hard day. So this actually looks pretty good. I could make her like a little bigger here, but just standing next to this other woman, she looks to be a little bit shorter, which I think fits the character, but it's reasonably proportioned with her and with this guy over here. She seems a little shorter overall, but again, I think that fits the character archetype we're going for. So I'm happy with that.
Oh, I thought of another reference face for this. The
Oh,
mother from that 70s show
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
has
that's
that
a good
same
one.
personality
That's
you were looking for it.
yeah, that's a good one. Good thinking.
Balandar says, whoever she is, she looks like a very nice, sweet woman, like the ideal mother character.
Yeah, so she is a toy maker in the town of Dunkeldorf. Um,
Oh, Reaper Miniatures rated with a party of 57.
oh my goodness.
Oh, we have a cool
Hello.
thing to show Reaper Miniatures. We can come back to this in a second. But you finished the trophy for ReaperCon
Oh, I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for Moonlight Minis. Hey, Reaper, welcome to the stream.
Hang on, let me
So
save
stick
this
around for a second
real
and we'll
quick.
show you the Moonlight Minis trophies, which are super cool.
Yeah, we this will be our first year offering a manufacturer's award at ReaperCon for the MSP Open, and we are so excited about it. Um,
Uh,
and
Blue Lobster says it followed. Thank you for the follow, Blue Lobster.
oh, thank you. So this is our trophy that we're going to be giving away for. There'll be a bronze, silver,
You
and
should make it gold.
gold.
Yeah. Turn
Uh,
on, like,
I'll turn on the
yeah,
gold.
you got to make it gold.
It's so bright.
And there will be 3 of these, right? Bronze, silver, gold, you were saying?
Yeah, yeah. It's got our little logo here in the full moon on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got our mascot character, Lunette, as she's reading her favorite book and cheersing the winner with her glass of champagne.
Just chilling on the moon, like Lunette does.
Yeah.
So get a Moonlight Minis figure painted up, enter it in the MSP Open, and you could win this trophy.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're so excited to do a manufacturer's award. And I will also be shadow judging for the first year this year for the MSP Open, which I'm also very excited about. It's going to be a big year for us. We're
Yeah.
excited.
You can use that link which is basically a link tree, right? Which
I'm sorry, a link to what? You
the
cut out.
moonlightminis.com. You can use that link to go
Oh,
to
yeah.
either the Etsy shop to order
It's
physical
a
prints
it's a
or
landing page for all of our stuff. You can get physical prints, you can get STLs, you can get all of our social medias. Everything
there you go.
can be accessed through that website. So
Okay.
make it super easy. One-stop shop.
So with that,
Okay.
let's see. The dog father says he just placed an Etsy order last night. Hopefully he gets it with enough time to paint it up for the contest. We pulled that order last night, except one, which is printing at the moment, and that should go out on Monday. Or tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, if we can get it out tomorrow. You know how Saturday post offices are.
Yeah.
Valander says, do we have to keep our entries for the online contest off of social media, or can we show them off beforehand? No, please show them off. Yeah, show stuff off. And
not limited. No.
yeah, just the more you show them off, the better. Get more people involved. Cross and Bone says, is that just Moonlight Minis, or does that include CVP Reaper sculpts? We talked about that.
It does not include any of my sculpts that I've done for Reverb. Because it is a manufacturer's award, it has to be by that manufacturer.
I really wanted it to be. I wanted it to just be any of your stuff. But I won a small consolation with her on this topic, though. I did get a 4th trophy.
Well, yeah, but see, you couldn't, because if you entered one of my sculpts that was a Reaper sculpt, then you'd be eligible for a Sophie.
That's true.
And you can't win a Sophie and and a Moonlight Minis award.
I get you. I understand, I guess. But there's the extra trophy, which doesn't even have to be a CVP sculpt, right? There's going to be one trophy that you're going to give out just for the thing you want to highlight out of the MSB Open. And it's the, what is that, the Lunette's Choice?
No. It's the Moonlight Spotlight.
Moonlight Spotlight. There you go. So it's a trophy that's just given to something she thinks is, this is super cool. It's not replacing paint jobs or any of that other stuff. There are lots of trophies for cool paint jobs. There are lots of trophies for cool sculpts. This one is just for something that should get recognized, she feels, out of the convention, and there's only one of those. There you go. So that's it. So we are working now on a Toymaker for a company called Dunkeldorf Miniatures. And that is a campaign setting in what universe?
So it's like, it's basically like a spin-off of Warhammer, like in terms of setting, where Warhammer is like focused on the factions and war gaming with armies and stuff like that. This is more like D&D style in terms of character-specific adventures that are run at more of a local scale.
I gotcha.
Which the campaign sort of revolves around this town of Dunkeldorf. And I am sorry, but I do not know enough about Warcraft or Warhammer lore to be able to tell you where this town might exist in Warhammer.
But that's the general concept for the setting. But this is more about the day-to-day life.
Right. Yeah.
And they've got some fantastic stuff.
Yeah, they sent us a box of minis to sort of give us a sample of what they do, and we were just so impressed. All of the characters were so full of life and so specific, and like you could just instantly read the story in each of the sculpts. They were really well done, and I'm very excited to be joining the team, making some more characters.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job with that. All of their stuff that they sent us. Most of the stuff they sent us was pewter, and really great castings in pewter. Some undercuts and stuff that would have been very challenging to do. So they know what they're doing. Lots of room to be creative. I think I've got a picture that they sent you of a diorama of some of their stuff. See if I can get that pulled up.
Yeah.
You sent me, rather.
Yeah, that's gonna be, I think, one of the promo images in the Kickstarter. His wife, it's Nikki and Nana, and his wife Nana paints all of their miniatures for the advertisements and stuff like that, for the promo images. So she's painted all of these figures, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It looks like a place I would love to play in. I love all the little details and little hidden things throughout the image. I think it's so great. I love it. I think a good representation of the campaign and the setting as a whole also. So this is the Toymaker. That's who we're making, and she's going to be like a companion beside that florist that you just showed. So her little workshop or shop is going to be set up sort of in tandem with his florist shop. Um, and yes, Valendar, you are correct in reading her as a sweet, motherly type figure.
Are you allowed to talk about the character here? What and who she is and stuff like that?
Yeah, so within the setting, they really wanted to explain to me that people aren't one-dimensional, and that though they are, generally nice people or whatever else, not no one in this town is like heavenly. They all have something that maybe they're a little bit immoral or they have an ulterior motive or whatever else. So that in this particular case for the toy maker, maybe she started off as very idealistic and just wanted to share her love of toys with like-minded individuals, aka children. Uh, After setting up business in Dunkeldorf, she experienced some social class differences in that poor children would come in and play with her toys and mess up her workshop and generally be destructive and mean. And rich kids were usually accompanied by their rich parents and are not only better behaved, generally speaking, but pay more for the trouble that they do cause. So she's learned to be a little classist and or maybe opportunistic would be a better word. Capitalistic.
Class sounds accurate from what you're describing. I don't know
So
if we
she
have the Dunkeldorf folks in stream today. Did you let them know we were streaming?
I did let them know that we were streaming, and when unfortunately they are in
Very different time
on
zones.
the other side of the world, so I don't know that our time zones match up very well.
That's fair.
So yeah, so where she might be super kind to a rich little girl who walked into her shop, she may be cruel or dismissive or mean to the poor kids who wander into her shop. And so maybe the smile is a little fake or the sweetness maybe a little too sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Something that gives her maybe a little bit of an edge to the character. I think Kyle said the like woman from Harry Potter in the I don't even remember which movie that was from, but the one with the cat lady.
And Valendar was thinking of the mother of the Weasleys, Mrs. Weasley.
Oh,
And
I mean that she also has very similar like hair, I
yeah,
think, to what I was thinking.
I think a mix somewhere between the mean teacher and Mrs. Weasley
Yeah.
seems to be what you're looking for there. Uh, Valendar says he likes how the sweet hippo lady turned out. I'm in the middle of painting Sam, and the Triton on the manta might enter all three. Awesome.
Ah, cool.
And he says, ooh, just saw new Twitch news. Shared ban info. You and whoever else shares the ban info. And if someone is banned in one of your friends' channels and they show up in yours, they aren't banned, but they're flagged. So if you bring banned people onto your stream, you get flagged as a stream that they have to pay attention to make sure you're not putting out bad content.
I don't understand. What?
So Twitch will
Where is this
ban you,
happening?
right, for breaking rules.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Discord. Okay.
No, Twitch will
Gotcha.
ban you if you post nudity or whatever else, right?
Uh-huh. Right.
So, okay, he's clarifying. He said that is not quite right. One dungeon says you have to hydrate. They claimed the channel point.
Oh.
Somebody found your new buttons.
Well, I just have coffee, so.
Well, that's hydrating. I'll get you some water. You want to talk about your
But my
new...
coffee says Mama needs coffee. I got it for Mother's Day.
You did add new things down there to for people to click on for channel points.
I did. Well, we did. Um, yeah, we were watching. What was that? What was that Twitch channel we were watching?
1 Arrow Hero.
1 Hour Hero. Yeah, yeah. And they were doing all these like really crazy things with Twitch points, um, making their their guests and stuff get up and do silly things. And we found it so entertaining. Uh, and we had been wondering like what should we do with stream points because we didn't really have a good thing to do with them. And so we saw that and we were like, oh, we should add some fun things you guys can make me do
Well,
for stream
and
points.
you have a problem, right? You work out very heavily every day, at least
I
an
do.
hour, sometimes two. But when you're working, you have a prolonged period of time sitting in your chair, which your trainer
Yeah.
loathes. He despises your chair.
He also doesn't like the way that I sit in my chair
Right.
because apparently sitting crisscross is not good for you.
So you added,
But it's so comfortable.
yeah. So you added a few exercises and get up out of your chair things also to your list on top of hydrate.
I did, yes.
All right. So that answers that. Balandar says, let's say you and Mike Disney share ban lists. Mike Disney bans Shopadapa for trolling his chat. Then Shopadapa shows up in your chat. Then there will be an icon next to his name showing he's banned from someone you share ban lists with.
So you have to like pick the people that you share band lists with.
Right. So it's helping you
I see.
moderate your chat. Right? Saying,
Gotcha.
hey, pay attention, this guy might be a problem. One of your friends banned this guy.
Gotcha.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
I'm going to fetch you water. So it's interesting watching this stage and the anatomy that you're doing. She's stronger than I thought she would be.
Well, most of this down here I'm being really loose with because it's gonna be under all the skirts and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I have been I have been making my characters kind of strong lately. I'm gonna have to watch myself, make sure I'm giving good variety. It's because I was working on that buff bunny girl all night last night. I got all that muscly goodness in my brain. Thank you. Okay, I will hydrate with water officially now. Here we go.
And it's not paint water. Hey, green users. Green users says, hey guys, Bob and Julie.
Hey guys, how are you? Great to have you here. I am working on this Toymaker character.
For Dunkeldorf
Oh,
miniatures.
sorry for Dunkeldorf miniatures. I don't know if you guys have done any work for them, but they seem like really sweet people.
And they got a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah. I think one of my favorites was like they have this hound dog, like a bloodhound.
Yeah.
He's just the cutest thing. His like ears go down and flop onto the ground. He's got this big nose. It's like it's so perfect. I love it.
Bob and Julie says that drawing has lots of character.
Right? Yeah. They were working with the concept artist. I guess he's done all of their concept art for them. Um, gosh, now I'm forgetting his name.
And we'll be doing
I
more
don't
of
know.
them, so we'll get that clarified,
I don't know.
who the artist is.
But yeah, I also really enjoyed the way that he brought a lot of character to it.
What have you guys been up to, Bob and Julie?
Are you guys full on con prepping with classes and whatnot?
You have worked your way all the way to the left of your screen. I will move your art because it's in the way.
Apologies.
Nah, it's okay. I will adjust. Because if we cover this menu that nobody wants to see anyway, problem solved.
What classes are you guys teaching this year? I know I saw a couple, but I don't remember what they were now. I think there was one like diorama type class.
They said getting our classes stuff ready for ReaperCon is what
Yeah.
they've been up to. We've been prepping for our booth this year. And oh my gosh, just so much work.
Yeah, we're going through like 4 to 6 plates, printing plates a day, 2 different printers,
3 sometimes.
sometimes 3. It's been a lot.
Lord Gazumba has joined us with lots of cool emotes. Hey, Lord Gazumba.
Ah, hey. How are you doing? We're gonna be hanging out with Lord Gasumba Sunday night, doing some fun, just like creator hangout stuff.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to that.
They said, Green said, create your own Poke tool and sculpting details.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's interesting. Create your own Poke tool. So you're making like green stuff or epoxy sculpt heads for the Poke tool? That sounds interesting. And Lord Gazumba says, doing well on Friday afternoon.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, so they're teaching people how to make their own heads for their pokey tools. That's a great idea.
That is a great idea. They always come up with the best class ideas.
Yeah.
I think every time I talk to them, I'm like, oh man, that's a great class idea. How did I not think of that?
Maybe that's what we need to do is just hit them up at the con and be like, okay, give me all your rejected class ideas because they'll still be cool.
Right?
Like the stuff you don't want to do, but you thought about it. Let's see, we are teaching, well, you're going to be doing most of the teaching, depending on who we can find to watch the booth, but speed painting, as usual. Paint the Horde, right? It's a fun class.
Yeah, and I don't know, people really like that class.
Mm-hmm. You're doing design a mini.
Yeah, I'm excited. That'll be the first time I'm doing that one. But basically, it'll be similar to my character design class that I've taught before. But this time we will be designing with Reaper in mind because Reaper will produce the mini that we design from that class.
Um, and then you're teaching uh, composition for dioramas.
Yeah, just talking about like how to set things up to lead your eye around the piece the way that you want, and some basic structural principles for putting together dioramas and
Mm-hmm.
scenes.
And then pick
And then
the color.
competence with color, which is going to be all about picking color schemes and working with color in a way that's a little more maybe systematic in your approach. I think a lot of people sort of sit down with a mini and then they're just like, what color do I make this? What color do I make this? And it just sort of becomes this like stressful
Yeah.
part. The stressful part of mini is like, what color do I paint it, right? Um, and hopefully this will help you sit down with more of like a plan laid out so you know where you're going and it becomes more of an enjoyable process and less of a stressful thing. That's the goal.
Bryce says, I can do incompetence with color, just add in green. I'm assuming that's a poke at your lion study where you kept finding green all over the picture.
My
Yeah,
tiger.
tiger. Yeah.
My tiger.
Uh, Arrowiz says looking for competence with color, and Fat Greens users putty details or sculpting details with putty.
I believe the color class is full. I think. I'm not
I think all your
100%
stuff
sure on
is
it.
full, but you got to watch because things open up here and there.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes they do open up later.
And Bryce said, "Bingo." uh, yeah, every year I don't know when I'll be able to take classes again because manning the booth is gonna start demanding a lot of time, unfortunately. But Bob and Julie's classes are always awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed their diorama class. I forget what they called it, but we went over a lot of like materials that you can use that I was like, I wouldn't have thought of that. Um, and sort of like how to generate ideas for dioramas. It was a really good class. I enjoyed it. That was the same year that Bob put in the Indiana Jones mouseling.
Oh yeah, I loved that
Remember that?
diorama.
That was so good.
I think he won a silver mouseling for it.
I think you're right, which was a shame. Like, I was like, oh man, I don't know that I could have not given it gold. It's so good.
Yeah, I sat there and that was one of those where I went back to look at it like 3 more times. And each time I went back to it, I saw something new, like the little mouseling hieroglyphs carved on the side of it.
Good fun. Good fun.
Balandar said he wants a class about the history of sculpting techniques. He said, like how melee used to be sculpted back in the 80s, then the 90s, and now today.
Well, that's an interesting idea. Bob and Julie would probably remember, like, or be able to offer a more first-hand approach of like how they approached it then versus how they approach it now, and some of those changes in the industry that have made such a big difference
Yeah.
in sculpting.
Oh, it won a gold mouseling and a silver Sophie. So, okay,
Ah,
that's
okay.
better.
That's better, yeah.
I remember thinking it won silver, and I was like, no, that should have been gold. It was so cool. But that must have been it. I thought it earned a gold Sophie. But I'm poor, ignorant, terrible painter. So. Okay, what's the donut? Oh, is that like the fat pooch?
Oh, it's the belt.
Oh, okay. I see it thinning it up now. I was like, wow, I didn't think she was that big in the concept. But now I get it.
No, she's got a little rope belt that goes around her waist here.
I'm trying to remember what it was. The third time I went back to the mouseling thing, there was something like inside the cave that I hadn't noticed the last 2 times.
Well, you remember a lot more about that than I do. I remember him talking about like a good source of inspiration for dioramas coming from movie stills because movie
Yeah.
stills really are composed very intentionally and specifically color palettes and all. Uh, and so they usually make for a really good reference when you're coming up with dioramas, which I thought was brilliant.
Green said, still lots to learn here. I'm assuming that's about. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what they still have to learn. Too far ahead of us. But lots of Easter eggs. Yeah, there were so many Easter eggs.
I think this is going to be one of those figures that's going to have a lot of like little discovery moments. I don't really do that a lot in my for my line, um, but
It's something to consider,
they
though.
they really wanted to have like all these little tools and things that she might use for making her puppets.
Green said, lots to learn still about painting. Yeah, I know Bob's been focused on the painting lately, which is super cool. There's just so much about all of it. So many things. Now, the posture here is still very rigid, but that smooths out the more you lay in the Z-sphere components, right? Like the arm. Some of that stuff in the Z-sphere rig where you can't make the forearm bend too far or it
Right,
breaks.
yeah. I just have to do that in the sculpt. One of the things I really enjoy so far about working with Dunkeldorf is that they've really included me from the very beginning uh, in the character concept. We talked about the costume design and um, went through several iterations of like hair accessories.
Oh yeah.
Um, we had talked about different hats that she might wear, or like a shawl, not a shawl, but like a what do you call that? Like a headscarf,
Uh huh.
or just like leaving the wild hair. And we all really liked the wild hair, but it seemed to be lacking some of the playful, refined quality. Um, so then we landed on this Tudor era inspired crown or tiara thing. And it was so perfect. It made me think of my daughter playing with her tiara and her dolls. Like when you are a maker, when you're a creator and you have all of these tools and materials at your disposal, I absolutely could see her making herself her own little tiara
Yeah.
or whatever else just to dress up, just to have fun.
Uh, Phalandar says, if I recall, that mantle she's wearing is roughly 12th century, or is it 13th?
Uh, I sent you a reference picture. I don't know when.
Oh, the one
I
of
think
the.
the shawl is much more derived from like German style clothing
Not that
because I
one.
believe Dunkeldorf is supposed to be in like kind of a Germany town.
Let's see. Find the right reference picture here. Hold on. Okay, there it is. Here is the.
Yeah, so in this reference picture, you can see where they were getting some inspiration for the shawl and the clothing, and then also like the hairstyle, which I really loved. I thought that was a really great reference picture for the hair. Actually, I'm gonna pull that picture up myself so I can look at this while I sculpt. But and she initially had this head covering in the top image where it's kind of like just draped over the top of the head. But we felt like it looked a little too nun-ish, like
Yeah.
she lived in a convent or something, and that wasn't really the vibe we were going for. We wanted it to be more playful, so then we tried like a jestery type hat. You can see the reference for that there also.
Let's see.
But that was maybe too caricatured, and we thought that might be too silly, and
Yeah, you
not
didn't want
come
her to
off
look
as
like a
like
court gesture.
right.
Green user
Um,
says, what is she holding in her right hand? I was wondering that too.
uh, oh, it's a button.
Okay.
She's
Valandar
holding
said
a
it looks like a bead
button.
for an eye or a nose for the doll, but a button makes perfect sense because that could be either of those.
Yeah, it's a button, and then the doll, the puppet is supposed to be like, or I guess it's a stuffed animal or something, is supposed to be missing an
Of one of the
eye.
button eyes. Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool. I love that.
yeah.
The rabbit. Uh, Green user says he's trying to overcome his color vision deficiency. Yeah, you were talking about that at the launch party for the Kickstarter, and I've been asking The friend of mine that I had intended to ask uh, recently took a position as the CEO of a metropolitan hospital in Houston. So he's very busy. But uh, he's a neurologist. So I was going to ask him. And as soon as he has enough time to give me a meaningful answer, we'll see what he says. But he's always super up on everything new uh, about anything to do with nerves or sight, sound, touch, thought processes. Like he's a really brilliant guy. Anyway, so I'm going to ask him as soon as he can give me a meaningful answer, which will take him more than a couple minutes. So, but I have been thinking about it. I haven't come up with anything new, but I think I know the right person to ask, which is almost as good as knowing the answer, right?
Yeah, that's what my mom always used to say. You don't have to know the answer, but you do have to know where to find it.
This is going to be a cool model. Uh, my headset might almost be charged enough to swap out and power on the camera. Where are the miniatures they sent us? And I'll get them set up on the turntable.
They are in a box in the garage.
Oh. Well, maybe I won't do that then. I will try. I'll see what I can find.
Kyle has bad allergies, so going out to the garage is like an ordeal for him.
It is. It is an ordeal.
Normally, I would just go out and get it, but
Green Stuff User says, we found out it's genetic, so other family members have it. Do you have a name for this genetic condition? Valandar says, in boot camp, if we didn't know the answer to a question, we were supposed to say, this recruit does not know, but we'll find out, sir.
good answer.
Mm-hmm. But
I'm really glad that we didn't go with the nunnish hat because as I'm building out this costuming, I'm realizing that it looks a little like Friar Tuck,
oh,
and that would have been a bad.
yeah,
Combination.
yeah, you don't need Friar Tuck. Let's see what I can make happen here for your camera. I can show off the trophy while I find the other stuff.
Oh yeah, we test printed the trophy at a very small, I mean, not very small, but like a small scale, just to make sure that everything was functioning, working
Yeah, this
before we
is
print.
not the full scale version or the right resolution, right? This is printed on our old printer.
Yeah.
So it's low quality print.
The setting for Dunkeldorf is like they were trying to explain to me that it was less like high fantasy where it's sort of expected to be medieval in time period. It's more like Renaissance-y time period. So like guns are around and like common technology wise. But there's still like kings and queens and serfdoms. Is that the right word?
I'm not sure.
You're muted.
But I bet Valandar will tell us.
Is that the right word?
Okay, I think that's as sharp as I can get that. Should catch up on chat here. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. Green says it's called color vision deficiency. So there you go. Valandar said, sorry, was in the kitchen nearly taking a header because my 17-year-old cat decided she wanted snuggles. He was walking in there. What did he miss?
It's just asking if I was using the term serfdom correctly to describe the Renaissance Tudor period. Like there was still serfdoms, right? That was still a thing.
There you go. Here's your trophy while he's answering that. So here is the manufacturer award test print. Which,
yay! So excited.
Let's see if I can get it centered here a little better. Hashtag super professional, right? There we go. You spent a lot of time on this. This is
I did.
Version what?
Well, more
7?
time than you wanted me to spend on it, I think.
But yes, but it's whatever. It's a great model. Can we sell it?
No.
Can people buy this?
No.
Oh. How do they get it?
Yeah, you have to win one. That's the only way. You have to enter a Moonlight Minis piece and it must be open and win one. That's why. That's it.
Bryce said, wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Wow, wow, wow.
Valandar said, serfdom was mostly gone by the Renaissance. It went into decline after the Black Death, which decimated mostly the serfs. It persisted until the 1800s in some areas of Europe. And Colin Mungo says that I love the way the drapery acts as support. Every now and then I have a good idea.
Oh, for the Moonlight Minis?
For the trophy, yeah.
The trophy? Yeah.
Bryce said,
you had that idea. I had like 4 pages of sketches of poses. Get out of here.
I don't mean the whole trophy. I just mean the drapery being the support. That was like my entire contribution to that model. I mean, I had like 2 other little things, but I was proud of that.
No, it was a good idea.
Bryce said, gotta bring it so you can win it. Sneak some green into your mini.
Somebody asked me on the Reaper Discord earlier today if it had to be submitted into the open category or if it could be in painters. And if anyone else was wondering, it is totally irrelevant what category you submit the piece into. It does not have to be in painters or any specific category. We will just be looking at all the Moonlight Minis pieces in the competition. So,
What if they printed out at a different scale? Right, like
oh,
you've got a couple people that buy your stuff, and like one guy printed out Tiki Lunette that was like a foot and a half tall.
oh, that's right. Yeah, he did. I didn't think about that. I don't have a plan for this. I mean, I guess it would still count, like it's still mine, so it would still count.
Bryce said the glass was Kyle's. Yeah, her cheersing was my idea too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Bryce. Good looking out.
You think they're my friends. They're not my friends, they're your friends.
It's not so much that they're my friends, which they are, right? But uh, we share a mutual desire for you to give us more cool stuff. So we're just on the same side here. They would side with you against me if it wasn't in their best interest. But
Yeah. Yeah. If you 3D print, you can get any of our minis to print for yourself. But if you don't, and maybe you just like buying already made miniatures, we have an Etsy store where we'll just print it and ship it to you.
mm-hmm.
Which apparently we've done a terrible job at marketing because several people were like, "You have an Etsy store? You sell physical things? What?" So we should do better about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Etsy store is new. It's only been about a month and a half now.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, you know what? You know what? I just realized right this second
What do you realize right now, just a second?
that the tie around her waist is not a rope belt around her dress. It is her apron strings that have crisscrossed around the back and
Yes.
she's tied in the front.
Yep. You're right.
I'm the dumb.
Or maybe because they're also holding all of her satchel with all of
Ah,
her tools.
well, I've never done that. I didn't know it could do that. I'm so sorry.
What did it do?
I made the silhouette thing like super big.
Oh, right.
Oops.
Bryce says it is hard to find the Etsy store. He had to work on it. That we need to fix.
Yeah, we need to fix that.
We adjusted. We addressed it some, but hopefully it's easier now. We need to make it even easier. That's going to be the key. I like the length of the apron. I think it's very just enough to see the dress still behind it at the bottom.
So I think to better communicate this, I'm going to take away the texture because I don't think the texture is helpful in describing what this is. I added that there just like out of habit.
What are we talking about?
the rope texture, like the braided texture
Oh,
on the
yeah.
belt. I just added it there because I was thinking, oh, it's like a rope belt. But I don't think it helps describe what this actually is.
I agree. And
It's
it looks a
confusing.
little haphazard for how uh, refined all of her stuff is. She's making all these little tiny things, so having a big coarse hemp rope belt doesn't suit.
Yeah, I think I'll take this up here and like
Now those should cross over each other then, right? If they're apron
yeah,
strings.
so then this one will come up and go this way. Once I put some more geometry here so it can move.
I like how you get extra quiet when you start having too many things you're thinking about. If you are looking for the Etsy store because you want the trophy, I'll put a link up. That is like a link tree, and you can go to the Etsy store to order models, or you can go to the My Mini Factory store to get STLs to print yourself. I have been smashing my head against this computer. Arrow is trying to get a bot set up, and it is proving to be unnecessarily complicated.
We need to sit down with Pervious.
Anybody that knows what the heck they're doing that wants to help, great.
I was trying to think about that. Who I know that would help. And I think Pervious knows a lot about Twitch.
Seems legit to me. We were happy to finally get the channel points part figured out.
Yeah. One challenge at a time. You can see how with very little textural difference we can describe something entirely different.
Yeah.
Instead of just making this a rope thing, we flatten it out some, crisscross it some. Now it's like, hopefully, reads more like apron strings.
Valandar says, this is interesting. Serifas Gray and Serifas Clear Smoky have the same exposure times, but the Clear Smoky has sharper results than the Opaque Gray once they're both primed on my Mono 4K. Is it what brand Mono 4K? Is it Frozen? Any qubit. Okay. I would have expected that the other way around. So that is very interesting. Oh, the opaque gray. Yeah, so the benefit of opaque, so I'll get a little techie here, but I won't go too far down that rabbit hole. Don't worry. When you're curing resin in a 3D printer, it's shining light at the resin. On most printers, the light comes through the LCD, creating an upside down triangle through each pixel. Typical 3D printers rely on the uh, opacity of the resin to stop that diagonal light bleed from curing adjacent resin. So the more transparent you get, the less detail you will have on most printers because you're getting that triangular light bleed. You can combat that to some degree by reducing your layer height. So the lower the layer height, the less variation there will be with those upside down triangles. There are printers that polarize the light as it's coming through the LCD. Most of Frozen's printers do. The downside to that is if the resin is too opaque, it can't cure. Yeah, on anything other than a Frozen printer, translucent resin is going to have less resolution, more blur on the edges. It'll also have less noticeable print lines. It'll just have sharper edges in general.
It's not every day that I get to have Bob and Julie watch my work,
I think they lurk a lot.
but if you guys see me doing something that you're like, that's weird, that's not how we would do it, I want to know. Why would you do it differently? How would you do it differently?
Well, that doesn't just go for Bob and Julie, though, right? It goes for
No, of course
anybody
not.
on the stream. Trash says, your face has sharp edges.
Your face has sharp edges.
Isn't it a compliment if your face has sharp edges?
I mean, I guess that's entirely dependent.
I guess that's true.
Do you think her sleeves have like a frill that tucks in under just the lined sleeve? I think so.
I don't understand what you're asking, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of talking to myself.
A good thing to do when you're streaming, but if you could be a bit more clear to yourself, that would be better.
But like, it looks like she's got this sort of strap that comes around, which is like a thing in this era of dresses to have like the sleeve segmented this way with like a piping.
Okay.
And I can't tell if the sleeve end, like at the wrist, if the sleeve ends in this, like a thick embroidered maybe cuff,
Lace. It's got a lace cuff.
or if it's like just got the same piping around the edge and then there's lace coming from underneath it out, like a little.
Yeah, I think it's like lace coming out, and the ends of the lace are almost doily-ish, is how I'm reading the concept art here.
Okay.
Let's see. Valandar said the smoke gray is pretty dark. That could have functioned to reduce the bleed. It also might have fractionally longer exposure time, so less resin cure to begin with. Yeah, the more pigment, particularly the most plastic part, the acrylic in the pigment, the more dark pigment, like black, the longer your exposure time will be, because that prevents light from getting to other parts of the resin on purpose. Like, that's a critical part. Valandar says, I think the sleeves in end in lace in the concept. He said, yes, long tunics in that era had a bunch around the mid arm. It's because they made the torso and upper sleeve from one piece of fabric, and it wasn't broad enough for full sleeves, so the rest of the arm sleeve was a separate piece of cloth sewn on and piped.
Okay, yeah.
Huh, that's cool.
I knew what it looked like, but I didn't know why it was like that. That makes sense, though.
So they're a t-shirt with an arm sewn on it.
Essentially, yeah.
And Trash said, WWB ampersand JD equals what would Bob and Julie do?
Yeah.
One of these days, we're going to have to demonstrate what you actually do with most of their figures, right? So, especially the ones that have really cool tricks, where you're like, how did they possibly cast this? And then you look at it and realize, oh, wow, this was really easy to cast. It just doesn't look like it should be easy to cast, which Julie and Bob are masters, doesn't describe it. They're phenomenal at that. And so Christy takes those and resculpts them in ZBrush to study how they got those effects. Like I know one of the ones on that you have set aside here somewhere is the harpy from
Well, yeah, but
the
that
last
one
Bones Kickstarter.
not for casting purposes.
That
That
one was
one
for
just from a
texture.
textural
Yeah.
study.
Oh, the pirate with the
Yeah,
squid.
the pirate with the chest from, I think it was last ReaperCon.
Mm-hmm. He had some really cool folds to his cloak and stuff that,
Genius.
yeah, how it was done was genius. Bob and Julie got mentioned on an Elder Scrolls online stream last night. And when I mentioned they
What?
were still sculpting, the streamer was in awe.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's Julie's game, right? Elder Scrolls Online? No, maybe.
No, she played Skyrim.
Skyrim, that's it. And Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah, Animal Crossing.
Green User says creative engineering. I thought they were lurking. I didn't know they were still here. But yeah, it's, dude,
We're all
guys,
talking about you.
it's crazy. So it and then you study it long enough and you realize this wasn't even hard to do. I mean, impossible for me, but compared to how I would have gone about that, right? Like talking about that cloak, how it folded back over itself. You and I both would have folded it back over itself and then sculpted it that way, and they very clearly did not. They were like, and you
It was like a
pinch this and
chunk that
twist.
they just,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I could
brilliant.
picture in my mind, whichever one of them did it, pushing, pulling, twisting, and in 3 motions it was done, which would have taken us hours to try to get that perfect shape. And it wouldn't have worked as well. We still would have had weird creases and seams, and it was. We both redid that one like 3 times trying to get it. We had a 2-day discussion about how you sculpted that coat. Valandar says ESO is good, otherwise it wouldn't still be in the top 10 online games for 8 years now. Yeah, I think any seasoned game holds up well because people keep going back to it, right? The new games have the problem of no matter how good of a game you make, you can't make 10 years worth of content
Yeah.
and release it as a new game. You're going to compete with Elder Scrolls or World of Warcraft or any of those other things. There's just, you can't crack that. It's not happening. I think there's a textural difference in the apron and the implied thickness of it in the concept art versus your sculpt. The, in the concept art, I feel her apron is worn and thin, and I'm not feeling that in the sculpt. There's some subtle line work there in the concept. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, solid. Much better. And those probably won't even show up as actual lines in the print, let alone the production metals, right? But it'll
Yeah.
it'll have that texture at that point. Is that right?
Yeah, hopefully it'll still read as thin and wafery by the time it gets there.
Now that's a stream I would watch. Bob and Julie sculpting.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We don't get a lot of time to watch streams, but we would make time for that if you guys ever decide to. Now this is for uh, Dunkeldorf Miniatures upcoming Kickstarter, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, this is it's reminding me of my grandma when I was a kid. My grandma, my dad's mom, who lived in Florida, and she would like dance around the kitchen in the morning, humming along to her favorite songs on the radio, making breakfast, and she could not sing a lick, but she sang with all of her little heart. No shame at all.
Hmm. Green says, "Be careful what you wish for. They might stream." Geeking out a little bit now.
Do
I'm
it.
I'm very careful what I wish for. I wish for a Bob and Julie sculpting stream. There you go. Very careful. Uh, Valandar says, a friend of mine who just turned 50 just fell headlong into 3D printing, so I'm pointing him at your tribe.
Well, thank you for the referral, and that sounds like a fun new adventure.
It's gotten so much easier if you know the right places to start, right? Like,
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things I've noticed about people kind of new to 3D printing is that it can be really frustrating when you're first getting started and you don't know what's good or what's bad or what to look out for. Like people who've been doing it a while know, but it's not intuitive in any way to figure out like, is this a problem with the model? Is this a problem with my printer? Is this a problem with my resin? Like there's so many variables. It can be really, I think, daunting for new people to try to like troubleshoot when they run into issues.
yeah, I think,
So I think having a baseline of like, okay, I know it's not this. I know it's not my printer. I know it's not this resin. You know, if you can like narrow it down,
yeah, yeah. It's,
super helpful.
and resin printing has gotten to a point now where there are some really phenomenally solid printers out there. The phenomenally solid ones are still a little pricey, but like we got this Sonic Mighty 8K. Oh my gosh, this thing's a tank. I can't get it to fail things. Like I've overloaded the plate. I've put stuff on there that had way too much volume for not being hollowed. I think we've had 3 failed models in total out of probably 500 that we've printed on it so far. It's insane. Such a great machine. But it's like $900. Well, it'll be like $800 soon, but it's expensive. He said, Phalandar says, oh, he knew exactly where to go when he had issues. He has both resin and FDM. He would come to me with issues. Even the average ones are so much better nowadays, say, than the OG Anycubic Photon. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, even the Sonic Mini 4K, very solid little machine. But the designs of the newer stuff are just better, minor tweaks, right? Like, well, for one example, on the Mighty, the vat that holds the resin and has the little plastic film on the bottom of it is substantially bigger than the screen, which is a duh thing when you think about it, right? Because you don't ever want to be printing up against the edge of the vat. Engineering reasons why, but basically it always used to force people to not use their whole screen. So now they just made the vat big enough that you can use your whole screen and not stress about it and not get fails because of it. And then, well, and then there's a little raised lip around the vat on the inside of it, which turns the whole thing into a sort of drum over the screen, which is just very small. It's like, you're talking about a fraction of a millimeter, but it's just enough that it starts the prints pulling uh, off of the FEP, the little plastic film in the bottom, for it. Right? Really ingenious engineering. I guess I'm getting too technical again, but sorry, Trash. The suffice it to say, it's getting way better. Minor changes that are making big differences.
Yeah, it's been a really solid printer for us, that one.
Phalandar said, I got my start with resin when Anycubic contacted me on Thingiverse and told me they wanted to sponsor me for 1 year. In exchange, they sent me a photon. But if I did a review, I had to be brutally honest, so they knew what direction to improve. That's great. That's fantastic. So many people
Yeah,
are like, yeah, but you
I
can't
love
do a
it.
negative review. Well, then no. You know, Atlas does all of the supports for Christie's models, and they do a great job, which, they do great jobs for supports. But they had their resin, which lots of people love, but we hated it. It was terrible for our printers. That's what we learned out of it. It was terrible for frozen printers. And we said as much. They never got mad at us for saying that. They never got upset. Just worked through the problem. And now they have resins that work fantastic on our printers. So we're not switching gears on resins today because we're trying to get ready for the con, and that's the wrong time to be experimenting. But I appreciated that they never held us or got upset at us, never held us to a positive review or got upset at us when we didn't give it one.
Yeah. And in fact, just sent us a different resin for free to try out just to figure out if that addressed the issues that we found. So
Yeah,
that was really nice.
yeah, they're good people. I like this smock. Is that what that's
Yeah, it's
called?
pretty cute, right?
Yeah.
I guess you could call it that. I don't know technically, I don't know what it's called.
I like the depth you're giving it too. Feels right.
This, this front shoe is going to be a problem, methinks.
Oh, the one pointing directly at the mold.
Unless I don't put a gap there, I just like lay it back on itself and I don't leave a gap there. I think that would be okay.
I think you can come down and gap fill the shoe because it'll be under the dress. As long as you've got the part of the dress a little far forward, and then you can use the shoe that's going to be on the mold line to communicate what the shoe should be. I Draw Carline says, "Oh wow, this is a cute concept." Yeah, welcome, I Draw Carlines, and I agree. You want to talk about this concept, Christy?
Yeah, so this is a mini that we're making for Dunkeldorf Miniatures. And she is a toy maker. And she is currently fixing this little stuffy. Dude, okay.
Juniper, did you have a good nap? Do you want to say hello to mommy? She can hear you on her headset. Say hello, mommy. No? So shy. Okay. Mm.
It's so silly. I don't get it.
I don't either.
She'll be like the most outgoing little girl you've ever seen in your life, and then all of a sudden she'll be like, I'm shy.
Mm-hmm.
You are not.
Valandar says, "Hi, Kara. Wabbit Stuffy." I Draw Carline says, "Oh, hey, Valandar. Funny to bump into you here. Been a hot minute." Valandar is everywhere. That's why he knows everything. Well, almost everything. I think we stumped him once last month.
Did we?
I don't remember what it was, but he didn't know.
We should have remembered that.
Sure, Valandar remembers it. I agree, Valendar. He says, if I don't know something, I usually know where and how to find out. That's the key. As I've gotten older, my memory is about 80% of what it used to be, which is still decent. But as I have been tired for the last year, my Valendar is like my my memory is like half of what it used to be, which is not okay.
My Valendar is. Can you see that I am procrastinating this head?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're sculpting the body to way more detail than you normally would. Incidentally, the apron in front of the upper half of the model, is not textured the same way as the apron on the bottom half. If you're looking for more things to procrastinate with.
Oh, there is an apron on the top. I didn't even see the apron on the top. I thought it was just like a waist apron. Like she had just,
Oh,
like just the little skirt ones that you see in like the 50s.
nope, that's not what she's wearing.
But I guess it does come up and go underneath
Mm-hmm.
uh this part here. Okay. Procrastination engage. Mostly I'm just like freaking out about this hair. He's gonna have this like short, curly, bouncy hair, and I really think it's like one of the key features to really get the character right.
I think the hair, the mother from that 70s show, is probably the best bet for reference. Now, the bottom of that apron would angle back towards the same place where the top does. It wouldn't just be straight down into that. See how it curves at the back? You've got the
Yeah.
bottom part aiming properly. The top would do the same thing. See you later, Bob and Julie. Thank you for watching and joining us.
Thanks for coming in. Can't wait to see you guys.
Oh, there we are.
What?
We got somebody who got a ban in chat as well.
Oh,
We can figure out the UI here.
don't ban Valendar again.
Right? Ban SC Valens. Ah, I did not report it, and I don't know that I still can. No, I can't.
What happened?
Someone wanting to sell us followers.
Huh?
Seems basically like one of those, hey, if your content isn't good enough for people to watch, you can pay us for people to watch you.
Oh, okay. Oh, I am jonesing for a nap.
Hydrate coffee. Maybe we need to add a button that's caffeinate instead of just hydrate. Although you should drink your water for real, because you barely touched that.
Yeah.
That's not water.
I'm doing what you said in the order you said to do it in.
I think this one will be a fun one to paint. I noticed you've moved the hand holding the rabbit a little further away from the model. Now, will that create casting problems or not? Probably not, huh? Because you could do it from that angle. So as long as that hand up against her chest stays against her chest.
I mean, I'm either going to have to swing this arm out a little bit more or just make this arm a separate piece.
My thought is in the concept, I read that arm placement differently than you. So you read it like this, hanging out forward. I read it like this.
Yeah,
And
but
back
then like
here,
she's leaning this way entirely with
well,
her
right now with
weight.
both of the arms out in front of her, it's creating a balance issue, particularly since she's got a big belly. So this is making her feel a little awkward from the side view. But if you pull this back here, I think that will fix it. There's a little bit of awkwardness still to her pose, and I think it's how far out that arm is. And if you pulled it back, that might solve it.
Okay.
Just thoughts.
I'm just going to take this arm off. I love you, sweetheart, but I can't cuddle with you. Mwah. Finger kisses. Okay. Okay, so let's see. We'll try moving this arm back some. this stuffy back. And then this becomes pretty easy to gap fill back in there. And we can move this smock down in here to fill some of it as well. There we go. And then this would sort of act as a gap filler between these two pieces, and then we'll still have to go in and fill some extra, but you won't be able to tell.
Let's see. Bryce says, I don't think we should be encouraging stimulants. I was away from keyboard, so I don't know what he's referring to.
Caffeine, I'm assuming.
Right. Valandar said, I found something entertaining to do while waiting on renders, etc. There's an a cappella band called Voice Play, and their bass can do earth rumbling, ultra low tones. So I watch reactor videos, watching one of their videos for the first time, and watch them totally losing it when the bassist goes positively subterranean. Arrowiz says she looks like she's bracing to do detail work. Yeah, like she's got it pulled back and braced against her body. Valandar said, setting phone down, we're giving the pupper his last goodbyes. Sorry, Valandar.
Right. I've been there with my own.
Mm-hmm. I think you might have bent the arm too low, or too high, rather. But I don't know. Like the elbow, I think, is slightly misplaced.
Okay.
I don't know how you wound up sculpting more rabbit.
Right.
Right? Because Christie's release for next month is rabbit folk. Hare folk, herringon, whatever the heck you call them.
Parafolk. That's what I'm calling them.
Bunnykin. I think I think we've been calling him Bunnykin.
That works too. Caroline's is one of our new supermoon supporters.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a sculpted commission together, which is turning out super fun.
Valandar says, apparently you call them boss but bunny babes, according to the folder name I saw earlier on the stream. I'm very excited about that. It's what I Draw Caroline says. And says, thank you, Christine.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Don't judge my folder names. They give me away.
Does I Draw Caroline's? Do you stream as well? I saw some of the art that you sent over. It's really great.
Yeah. Her and her husband, both talented artists.
Mm-hmm. Feel free to throw up some links to your stuff.
Definitely. Instagram or whatever. The world wants to see.
Mm-hmm. Balandar says they love the figures that he's seen her paint.
You have fans.
Mm-hmm. And Caroline says, thanks for the encouragement. Yeah, these are all so great.
The other thing I'm nervous about on this girl is like all the little bits and bobs of accessories.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot. And they specified some of them that they felt like were important to make sure we included. So I'm gonna have to go through that list and like figure out, make sure that I have all the things in the checklist.
I think some of them will need enlargement to be usable on a mini or visible. Like I'm not sure what the little circles are hanging off of that uh, belt pouch thing, the fanny pack. My suspicion is they're buttons on strings.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Baylander says clear and distinct colors, outstanding brush control, great use of contrast, including non-standard contrast like color saturation and color temperature. Just great overall. Yeah, great critique. I Draw Caroline says, what's all that stuff on her belt? We all want to know. What's all the stuff on the belt? Clue us in.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to like go through my emails to figure that out. So
Valander says the thing on the front of the pouch is medieval shears. It actually reminds me of the fabric shears my grandmother used to have that were spring-loaded little snips for cloth or string. I forgot about those.
spring loaded?
Yeah, hers. I'm sure they're the modern day version of them, but they're uh, basically like a little scissor, but it's only the. Yeah, please do, Valendar. But it's only the. There are no handles on the scissor. You just grab it and you squeeze it against the springs, and it cuts. So you don't have to
Oh,
open it back up manually. The spring opens it.
that's cool. I didn't know that existed.
Now you know.
If you
So
don't know, now you know.
here's the medieval version of them that he linked. which rather than being a spring like modern day ones, is just a bent piece of metal. Can you see?
Ah, okay. Save that
Mm-hmm.
because I'll need it.
Copy image.
Caroline. I don't know why that song is like stuck in my head right now.
Because we are here with I Draw Caroline.
Yeah, that's probably it.
But I want to know what the other stuff is on the belt. I see some kind of fur or stuffing.
Well, if you look at the other concept art image, the full one that I sent you.
I think that's what we're looking at.
Oh, do you have like the full? No, that's just the final look at her. But
Oh.
there's a full page of sketches.
Oh,
That
you did send me that. Okay.
and it has like some various things that we were playing with.
I didn't
But you
see
can
this.
see on one of them, it's showing that she's got like a puppet hanging out the back.
Okay. 3D. Pull this up for people to look at here. Give me a minute.
Yeah. This I'm just trying to make look like embroidery. Just like something she's stitched.
Okay, I think I got that. Here we go. All right, so here she is. Let me move your little turnaround video out of the way. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Make this bigger so we can see. So we got Toymaker Revisited. So the different hat ideas. What does this say here? Something pupper?
Puppet.
Puppet. What kind of puppet?
I'm not looking at the same thing you are.
Oh, some kind of a Joey puppet
Uh,
hanging from a belt.
I don't know what that says. Gnome? Gnome. Gnome
It's a
puppet.
gnome. It's a gnome puppet. You're right.
Gnome puppet hanging from belt.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so there we go. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bigger on that belt pouch. See what we can see. So it looks like thread spools, maybe. Some stuffing. Some paintbrushes. Those are paintbrushes sticking out the top.
Yeah, because one of the ideas that you and I talked about that I referred was putting a pencil in her ear,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that he liked the feel of that, and so he wanted to make sure there was a paintbrush where she might have been painting the eyes or little features on the dolls or whatever.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's catch up on chat here. Let's see. Valandar says, sticking out of the pouch looks like tools to insert stuffing, at least one paintbrush, maybe other tools for assembly. Said, oh, that little hat is great for the gnome, I think. For the gnome puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were all
Yeah,
telling us
so
it said gnome while we were trying to figure it out. Valandar said if Weeby was sculpting it, she'd have a sandwich on the back of her belt. Valandar said, I would think there would be a narrow, flat scoop for inserting stuffing.
yeah, like I know what you're talking about.
I'm still trying to figure out for sure what's underneath the pouch. I think it's a thread spool. But I don't know. Who knows? Christy does when she reads the emails again.
The thread spools? Oh, like underneath the
Yeah.
little bag?
Mm-hmm. The fanny pack.
I don't know. It could be thread spools, but it could also be like, I don't know, like beads or like pins.
Good question. So I Draw Caroline says, do you use a mouse or tablet when you're sculpting? But I will take your webcam and show people what you're doing.
Okay.
So here is, well, it's very stuck. Let's see. Wait for the stream to catch up. Yeah. So there is Christie's pen, and she just does that right on the front of the tablet. Actually, I have a better plan. Well, that's lower than you usually aim your camera. Not aiming for that audience, right? Okay, camera's back facing you, and this should work. We'll see. So here's Christy sculpting away. Camera doesn't autofocus, so see if I can get it a bit more in focus here. Getting there. Oh, it's a little confused. So it's giving you some pretty intense highlights, but other than that, there you go. There you see Christy. Wave at the camera, Christy. Sculpting away.
Yes, little princess.
Oh, I seem to have grown a child appendage. What can I do for you, Princess Cricket? Hmm? Hmm? I can't hear you. You're going to have to speak up. Huggy time? Okay. Is that better? What kind of hug is that? Oh, okay. Bear hug. You're right. Did you have a good nap? Okay. All right. I love you. She's back to whispering now. Can't have anybody know that you love Daddy. I Draw Caroline says, "Oh snap, a Cintiq." He said, "I tried a Cintiq when they first came out," Valandar said, "but the older models lagged quite a bit, like a full half second."
Oh.
And then he said, "Juniper's adorable."
Yeah, she knows it. Don't worry.
Yes, the Cintiq was her Christmas present several years ago. Cost me 2 months' pay.
Worth every penny. It's probably paid for itself by now.
Thank you for the follow, Wilson Pedro 16. Welcome to the
Thank you.
stream.
I think I made one foot longer than the other foot. For no good reason. Do 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 do. Ah. Do you know? Do you know?
It's a long foot.
I'm fixing it. To be fair, this Z-sphere rig was not made for a human being. So I did not alter the feet as much as I should have.
Clay Builder's your friend, right?
Yeah. I also think I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, like move
Gee.
this way.
Yeah, you started out sculpting on a what was that
A
little tablet?
Lenovo Yoga.
Yeah, a Lenovo Yoga 720. And it was a good little tablet, but didn't have the same pin pressure sensitivity as the Cintiq or anything like that. So it did push some bad habits into you. You learned to not rely very heavily on pen pressure, and it impacted the flow of your strokes.
Yeah.
Like trying to do sketches with a number 2 pencil. There's only so much line weight or thickness that you can get as far as variation. And I think that's the difference. Drawing on the Lenovo Yoga, very similar to trying to do an entire pencil piece with a number 2 or number 1.
Yeah, totally doable, but like harder.
Yeah.
More difficult.
And if you only ever use that, you would not get better at the actual ideal tools. So we got you the Cintiq and really had to push hard for you to learn that pressure control, which is ironic because for all of your painting, you have phenomenal pressure control, or even sketches. Like you use brush pens instead of pencils or pens because of what you can do with pressure and angles. But it's you just develop a habit.
Yeah. In this case, a bad habit. I got a bad idea.
Valandar says, "Oof, got a 28-pound yin yang in my lap now. 2 sleeping kitties, one black, one white."
Cute. I just had to pick up our black cat from the vet place today. She had to go get fixed, so she stopped having freaking kittens.
Yeah, as cute as the kittens are,
I'm tired of taking care of kittens. And they have been somewhat traumatic for our children.
Yeah, a couple of them died. It's her first full-size litter, and it was
Yeah.
6, so a lot. And she's not a big cat.
Okay. I need to pull up. I don't know what her name was.
The trophy in the top right corner of the screen that's on rotation up there is the trophy for the manufacturer award for your company for Reaper's MSP Open. Uh, if you're not going to
Yes.
ReaperCon, there will also be one for an online version of the competition, which all you have to do, paint up one of Christie's minis and post it in the Discord. Post pictures. And there is a link. You can get all of her models there either as STLs or as physical copies on Etsy, right?
Yes.
Now, are you pulling up anybody's actual face to work on this? Or are you just working off the sketched reference?
No, I'm working on from Kitty Foreman.
Who's that?
Oh, can you not see my screen?
Nope. Ah, okay. I think that's a great reference.
Yeah, I do too.
The hair's perfect too. Now, with something like this, I kind of suspected you were looking at a person instead of just the concept art, but that's what you tend to do. So, do you want to talk about why? I know faces are hard for you to talk while you sculpt, but
But talk.
yeah, tell us what the heck you doing.
So I'm just trying to get a sense of the proportions of her face. Um, where the planes shift. So what goes in where versus what comes out into space, and by how much.
Now, was this a big shift for you going from 2D art to 3D? Because we've never really talked about this. I've just kind of slowly watched you make that shift. So,
What do you mean?
well, when you worked in 2D art, you would usually just work from a one angle reference, right? If you were
Yeah.
doing a watercolor of this person, you would just have the picture from the angle that you wanted to do the watercolor of.
Yeah.
But you don't do that really anymore when possible for 3D sculpture.
Yeah, it's different. I think the work even in 2 dimensions would have been better had I more fully understood the 3-dimensional forms, but it just wasn't something I was practiced at. And when I first started transitioning to ZBrush, that was a really, really hard thing for me to wrap my brain around, was like, how do I navigate this 3-dimensional space? How do I decide what something looks like from every single angle? That was a daunting task for me. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of it just came with practice and just trying over and over again and failing a lot of times.
So somebody
But
else thinking about moving into a 3D space from a 2D space, what would you advise they do? How would they have a leg up coming into 3D modeling from a 2D art background?
um, I mean, I would recommend studies. Like if you started to think of things in terms of like overall shape and form, and this sounds like, I don't know, that sounds kind of cliche because like you should always think of things in terms of shape and form. But like there's a difference between understanding the light, the way the light plays on something for int- like for rendering purposes, and actually understanding the physical space that it takes up. So that's what I would that's what I would advise. Start studying one object from multiple angles.
Now, do you mean do like 2D rendering studies then? Would that be useful? Here's this face drawn from like 4 different angles.
Yeah, I think that would be useful. Um, the big thing too is like something I really had to focus on fixing was turning my model while I worked,
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
because I would like do something and it would look great from the one angle I was looking at it from, and then I would like turn it and it would look terrible. And I would get so frustrated. But I think a lot of that was like I was just I was just trying to look at it from one view because that's all I knew how to do. So having to, if you are starting in ZBrush, if you're starting sculpting, learning to turn the model frequently. Don't like give yourself a number limit of brush strokes. Like I can only do 3 brush strokes before I turn my model. Even if you turn it right back, like just turn your model so you start seeing it.
Yeah, that was the rule we made for you. 3 strokes and then turn.
Yeah, it was so hard. It was so hard to do that.
I think it's one of the strengths of 3D Studio Max, which you won't hear me say that often. It's not great software. But it is one of the strengths of it that it maintains profile, anterior, and top-down view, and
There's
your
a way to
photo
like
view.
set ZBrush where you see all of them simultaneously while you're working, which I'm sure is like useful for some people, but until you're already accustomed to working that way, like I think I might be able to turn it on now and find it useful, but even then it would be really disorienting.
At least
I would
initially.
I would have to get used to it. But I think if you were just starting out, it would just be too much to process all at once.
That's fair. Which is the story of 3D Studio Max. Too much to process.
Yeah.
I'm sure Chris Lewis does fine in it. But he is a human computer, so
Yes, yeah. So she doesn't even like when she smiles, she doesn't even really open her eyes. Like they're just barely open. But she's got this like thick hang on, this thick eyelashes.
now you can only go so far with that on a model though, right? Or it won't be paintable.
There, but like even in the concept art for this character though, it looks like her eyes are like mostly closed.
I draw Carline says, do meshes have to be physically connected like in a 3D model, or can different pieces just hang off of each other while sculpting?
While sculpting, they can just be wherever in space. They won't print that way, so you do have to connect them at some point. But while you're sculpting, you can work with it wherever, if I'm understanding your question.
Valandar says, I started with 3ds Max in 2.5, so there wasn't a huge amount. I also choose not to get the submodel, meaning I'm still using the last version I bought, which was 3ds Max 2011. I buy it once every 3 years or so. Valandar, that's 9 years ago. I started with 3ds Max in like 2002, 3. Ah, he said 7 years ago they went to the submodel.
Uh,
I draw Carline says cool. I might be trying to download ZBrush Core Mini because I'm inspired. My advice to somebody starting out in ZBrush is just get the subscription for the full software. It's like $30 a month. If you're interested in it, try to find a buy a lifetime license. I don't know if they still sell them direct from their website, but if they do and you like it, grab that while you can. But the subscription's reasonable for what the software is, and for 30 60 bucks you can try it for a month or two, and that's the full version. There's some very critical components missing from core.
yeah. They try to like market it like You could do all the same stuff just for free. You can't. That's not.
Yeah. The
And if you could, it would be so hard, it would not be worth it.
uh, it's ZBrush Core is more aimed at other 3D modelers, people that have been using other 3D modeling software for a long time. And
They just want to see what's different about ZBrush.
yeah, what you
Yeah.
can do different, how it interacts. And it does a great job of showing that off if you're already a 3D modeler in something else. But like you can't have more than one subtool in Core, which is debilitating. Yeah, I think to get an honest feel for it, spend the $30. Treat yourself a little and just get the full license. And you can cancel it if you don't like it. Valandar says, yeah, its sub rate is a lot cheaper than Max. Max was 10% of the full cost. ZBrush is like 4% of the full cost. Exactly. If you sub for a whole year, right, you're out $360 and the full license is like 800. So you'd have to sub for 2.5 years before it reached the same cost as the full license. I think the eyes are still too closed for a mini, but I could be wrong. Her profile is a little Gene Wilder-esque. You see it?
Well, now that you say it, yeah.
Valandar says, ZBrush's multiple subtool is almost a requirement. I find both insert mesh brushes and their vector displacement brushes are a godsend. Christy does not use either of those, but most people do. Well,
Yeah.
to be clear, you don't design your own.
I have used IMM brushes. Just it's not like a crucial part of my work flow. And I would think I've only ever made one and I didn't really use it very much.
I was watching the girl that does those. Oh, you were watching it with me. The girl that does those cat minis. She uses uh, brushes for everything. Like even adding hands, she just has hand brushes.
Oh,
I think you were making dinner when she was showing that off. Valandar says, I designed my own. I have an entire collection of base meshes, simple sacks and pouches shapes, different gems, and gems in settings, an entire IMM brush with several buckle types. Then,
I do have an IMM brush for gems. Super useful.
well, she sells her IMM brushes, so like all the roses on all her cats is a brush that she sells for
Oh.
roses. We are well past time. It is 3:30. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Okay, well then let's
You can keep working on this face. I think it'd be cool to bring it together a little more, but I'm just mentioning it so you know where you're at. Something about the eyelid from the profile looks more sleepy than happy. Do you see it?
um I think so. Speaking of sleepy and happy, uh Titan Troll's been working on a dwarf. He was sculpting it on stream yesterday, I believe. And he posted his work in progress on our little sculpt group. And he said something really vague like, guess what I'm working on or something, with a picture of it. And Herberto was like, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I was like, dang it, now I want to do Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Wait, are you gonna make dwarves?
I might make dwarves.
We had a discussion about dwarves, female dwarves with beards, and you had a thought on how you wanted to try facial hair on female dwarves.
Yeah. In our ongoing discussion about female variety minis.
Yeah.
People are always clamoring for female dwarves with beards.
I think it's a small subsection.
It's a small vocal subsection. Because I've seen them get produced and no one buys them.
Right.
But these people exist. And if they exist, then I guess they deserve to have some minis.
Valandar says most of the dwarves are bards, but Doc is a cleric, and both Grumpy and Dopey are barbarians. Just because I think it'd be funny to have Dopey secretly have an unstoppable well of rage he keeps under tight lock and key.
would be funny. But that's totally not protected IP. We could do Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, that's open domain.
Yeah.
But Snow White would have to be a badass.
For sure. Yeah, yeah.
What would Snow White be?
Um, I don't know. Well, you know though, on that topic, J. Scott Campbell just came out with his sideshow collectible figure for the Evil Queen that he drew,
Oh,
and they're debuting it at San Diego Comic-Con right now, and it is epic. So epic.
Valandar says, a pure-hearted paladin with the emphasis on good, not law. And then he said, wait, no. Snow White is a swarm keeper ranger, but her swarm are birds, squirrels, rabbits, and etc.
Yes. Love it.
I draw Caroline says, I like that better. I'm not sure if she's referring to the face that you're working on or the ranger idea. The Snow White Ranger. Okay. You still have not sold me on these closed eyes. I'm waiting to see.
Don't worry, I haven't sold myself either.
Would you mind throwing a hair blob in there for those of us that are no hair visually impaired?
Yes. Just a second.
Mm-hmm. Valandar says, imagine a dark, gothic wannabe edgelord who decides he wants to be like Batman with a swarm of bats in the darkest forest. But the swarm he gets is songbirds and bunnies and squirrels. Every time he tries to gargoyle on a rooftop, bright moonlight shines down with pastoral music manifesting, and bluebirds and robins cuddle up to him.
Damn it! Trying to be broody. you know, like curly shit.
Hmm. As long as there's something there, I can see it. It's just hard without the shape. I think her cheeks are not as full as the concept. And her cheekbones seem to almost go all the way. Maybe they do go all the way to the eyes.
Wasn't really looking at the concept art, so.
Gotcha.
Well, good job trying, kiddo. Uh-huh.
You are being very non talkative. So I'm trying to decipher what you're struggling with.
I was listening to Kirk and trying to sculpt and trying to deal with his face. These eyes. They're driving me bonkers. Oh yeah, I'm bonkers. Do it. I guess you don't remember that.
Nope. Maybe it's time for a different reference model for the eyes if you're struggling.
Maybe.
Maybe if you had crow's feet. You're trying to make the eyes kind of squinty. So there should be crow's feet, right?
Yeah.
Also, if you squint, your cheeks do this. Which might be the difference. Rather than trying to bring the top of the eyelids down, bring the bottom of the cheeks, well, the top of the cheeks up. Oh, that's helping. Palandar says right now her face looks like the perfect base for a female dwarf. Squinting winds up with this weird, when I'm making the facial gestures, it's like this weird combination of your eyebrows and cheeks trying to close your eyes while your eyelids are trying to open them. This
Like,
it's weird. She currently looks a little bit like the grandmother from Encanto. Shorter face overall, but
like that lady has like a long face.
yeah, like a squished version. But no part of the eyeballs are lidded. Just the sockets are squished around it. Which is what's giving her kind of a smug look, I think.
What's that lady from Cat? Cat lady from Harry Potter. Dolores Umbridge.
Umbridge, yeah. Oh, I'm looking at your reference art. I haven't been able to see it for a while. She's doing the opposite. She's trying to open her eyes with her eyelids. So all this is flat, or for their eyebrows. So there's no indentation above her eye. It just kind of goes up to it. Not for Umbridge, but from the last one you're looking at.
This one I like how slanted and like raised these parts of the eyes and the eyebrows are, because it reads as very forced,
Yes.
like people get when they get lipo.
Yeah.
They're like, do you think she had surgery?
No, I think that's a forced facial expression. Very practiced, trying to look like that.
This would allow me to open the eyes. Which I'm not like, normally I would be really concerned about any character with like closed eyes, but because she's really intended as an NPC,
That's
not
fair.
like not like your player character, I'm more concerned with capturing the right expression than I am about like how playable is this or how, like competition paintable is this.
The happy expression is definitely coming through.
Is what you cut out.
The happiness in her expression, kind of the joyous. She obviously is just enjoys her life. There's that. Also, potentially maybe a little witchy, but yeah, I think it's coming together now. I think you're close enough. You should reference back to the concept art.
Okay, yeah. So she's got like opposite eyebrows here in the concept art.
Yeah, directly opposite
And
what you usually sculpt.
no, I mean of what I already had.
Yeah, that too.
But and I'm okay with like changing that if necessary to get the right expression. Just I'll try it this way first, since that's how they sent it to me.
I like this better.
She kind of looks like that girl from oh, I don't remember what all she's been. She was when she was younger. She was in Idiocracy. And she's been on uh, SNL since then. She was playing that presidential candidate a lot in the last cycle on SNL.
Oh yeah.
Kamala Harris. She was playing Kamala Harris a lot.
Stephen Page says she's looked like she's smirking now. Epic Adventure Miniatures, welcome. It says Maya Rudolph.
Maya Rudolph. Yeah, that's her name. Doesn't she look a little bit like Maya Rudolph?
Yeah, a little bit. There, I think that got rid of the smirk.
Got rid of what you keep cutting out.
The smirk.
Oh.
Stephanie Page said it looked like she was smirking. By the way, welcome also, Stephanie Page.
Oh, yes, welcome.
I also think her jowls sit a little lower in the concept. You've got more of a pear shape to the face, and she's got rounder, lower hanging cheeks.
I don't know that I like that better though.
I'm not sure I like it better either, just comparing it to the concept.
Yeah, I don't think I like that.
Oh, that's good. I think lastly in the concept, top of her face is also bigger, broader. It's like a big circle. Again, I don't know if that'll be better or not, just identifying variances.
That's useful.
Not necessarily match Stephanie Page. This is a concept art we got from Dunkeldorf Miniatures. They're the ones that commissioned the piece. And you want to clarify what your instructions were on that, Christy?
Yeah, I have freedom to change it as I see fit, but we really just want to capture the right personality and the right expression. So whatever compromises we have to make to get there is the big concern.
So we identify things that are different, uh, not necessarily to correct them in the scope, just to make sure that they are seen.
They are choices that we're making intentionally to communicate the expression better.
So it's because she looks thinner than Molly Weasley. Molly Weasley keeps coming up. Maybe you want to reference Molly Weasley. It's the third person to make that correlation. Who has the right attitude as well, I think.
Yeah. I just think her face is much more square overall.
I don't know. I can't picture it. Oh. But you need one of her happy, right? When she's like, oh, Harry, dear. There's one. Oh, I like the one more to the left. On the far left there where she's obviously talking to Harry.
What are you talking about?
That one. I'm sorry. I was watching with the streamers, so I was a little behind.
Oh. I was like, what other one could you
Oh, that's
possibly
the
be
one.
talking about?
That was the one. There might be slightly too much badassery in Mrs. Weasley. She has that very uh, powerful isn't the right word, but
Being of respect.
yeah, a strength of character to bring to bear for positive or not, depending on the situation, right? You get the impression she's not someone you want to mess with. Don't want to get on her bad side.
Yeah.
But I don't think you've channeled too much of that here. I think you're on a good track. I think honestly you might have captured what we're after already. I think at this point run it by the folks at Dunkeldorf. See what they think. Because anything else from here we're just guessing, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably a good time to put this on here and then run it by them for a whip and see what they think.
Stephanie says her cheeks sit lower in the drawing than in the movie, for sure. Now, that's not what we're actually drawing, right? This isn't specifically Molly Weasley. This is a character for their uh, unique setting, which is a town in. Sorry, my voice is. It's a town in their unique. Well, not in their unique. It's kind of in the Warhammer fantasy setting, I guess. Is that right, Christy?
Yeah, so like where Warhammer sort of focuses on the bigger picture of war and armies and factions, this sort of is in the same world, but it's focused on the town and the people and the local drama. A much more D&B narrowed focus than wargaming.
Now, emotion is very difficult to capture on a female miniature to the point where a lot of sculptors will just say, "Don't do it." Right? That's a
Yeah.
to get it to look right when you print it at that scale is a mega challenge. There are a lot of limitations, a lot of extra rules you wind up having to kind of conform to that suck, honestly. But
You remember that lady from Robots?
mm-hmm. Aunt Fanny
Pretty.
or Aunt Fanny, Aunt Fanny.
That's what it was.
Such a well done movie. The art direction in that and implementation was impeccable. And of course, Robin Williams, right? Can't go wrong
Right.
with Robin Williams. I do see the Friar Tuck vibe that you were worried about. I think we'll be okay once we get the rest of the details in, but I do see why you were concerned about it now.
Right?
So the face has elements of uh, one, the mother from that '70s show,
Katie Foreman.
hmm and Dolores Umbridge, and Miss Weasley, Mrs. Weasley. Did I miss a face?
Nope.
Okay,
Oh, well, and that girl from SNL, but that's not really on purpose. It just kind of looks like her.
just happened. Sure.
Stuff like that always makes me want to like go back and look closer at those people and be like, do they really look the same as these other people? And I just never noticed.
Usually not, I would suspect, huh? I'm going to blow this up again while you're combining stuff. Draw the curtain. Here is the trophy that you sculpted for the MSP Open this year at ReaperCon. This is for the Moonlight Minis uh, Manufacturer Award. Moonlight Minis is Christie's company. And if you are interested in winning this, you can either enter at ReaperCon into the MSP Open any of the models from Christie's company, Moonlight Minis. Or you can enter online on her Discord. The same thing, any of her models. And those can be models you've ordered from her Etsy store or models that you have ordered from her My Mini Factory. And I'll get a link up there for you.
Okay, you guys can come out. Be good. No more being loud.
And that link will take you to a set of links where you can either go to the Etsy store or the My Mini Factory page. And all your social media stuff is up there too, right?
Yeah.
Stephanie says, do you do commissions and what is the average wait time? Stephanie Page.
I do offer commissions. Currently, we are in the middle of prepping for ReaperCon, so I am not taking extra commissions until late September, early November.
With an exception, there is another option for that for you, right?
Yeah. I do have a tier of my tribes or Patreon, whichever you prefer, that lets you get an hour a month with me for $50. And lots of people have been using that to sort of commission their own personal sculpts. And that's worked out pretty well, I think.
And that usually takes between 3 and 5 months, depending on the complexity of the model, to get those finished up, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's a lot less than your normal commissions. How do you
Yeah, typically
how do you
my
justify
normal
that?
commissions are about 650. Anywhere between like 500 and 650 depending on the model, but
Well, I think those are your old rates. Pretty sure you've raised them. I'd have to look at your pay schedule.
but the advantage to doing it this way is that I can charge a little bit less or a lot of it less because I retain the rights to anything I create for that. So I can sell it in the shop later on and make some money from it that way and sort of recoup some of the cost.
And then that tier also gets them access to, if they 3D print, it also gets them access to your monthly releases as well.
Right. Yeah.
Are there limitations on that? Are there things you won't sculpt?
I mean, I'm not. I do reserve the right to say no, but so far I don't think anyone has presented me with something I was unwilling to do.
Yeah, you're not sculpting adult content, to be clear.
Right. No, no, no.
So, but if you're interested in that, I think that link will take you to the Patreon or the My Mini Factory page. Does it take you to Patreon? No. I'll get a link to the Patreon.
Oh, we didn't set it up for Patreon. Where is that? That girl. Yeah, yeah, there she is.
I'm trying to find a link to your Patreon. I think I found it. I did not. I thought I did, but no.
But no. A falcon with silver wings.
I think that's my one big gripe about the Patreon user interface. Very hard to find good links. There we go, I think. Here we go.
There you go, I think.
Uh, there is there's the Patreon. Stephanie asks, are there options to retain the rights of the artwork and model? The artist I've gone through would only allow me to commission one of his artwork to be made. Okay, so if you're looking to retain the rights to produce and sell copies, that's a different story and is a more expensive thing. That's what she has the backlog for. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
But Messenger, and for sure, we can discuss that more. Prices vary heavily depending on
Time frame, complexity, like all the things. So
yeah.
I can talk to you more about your project and we can see, give you a quote.
Uh, um, Probably the best place to contact you would be on your Discord or through My Mini Factory, anywhere with a direct messaging option. Twitch isn't great for that.
I don't even know why I'm doing this. I was not planning on doing that hair right this second, but
Because you like doing hair.
I do. I do like doing hair.
It doesn't say. You know what? There's an email me link. There you go. Just use the email me link. That's the easy one. Sorry, that was a way wordier answer than you were probably looking for. Uh, there are other factors too, right? Like how you're planning on reproducing it. That matters a lot at that point. If you're planning on selling an STL, that's one thing, and how things get printed requires models to be sculpted in a specific way to be good. If you're planning on casting that in metal, it's very different, or cyocast, or lots to discuss. Usually, Reaper and Darksword, Reaper miniatures, Darksword miniatures consume most of your commission spots, but soon to be potentially Dunkeldorf. I think this is seeing how the relationship works, right? Am I accurate there?
Yeah. But yeah, just email me. We can talk about it. Um, so I think we're about wrapping up here because I don't want to get too much further without showing them work in progress and getting some feedback, making sure I'm on the right track before I put too much more into it. But thank you guys for joining our stream today and hanging out. Um, Kyle will get a raid set up for us. Please stay for that. We like to support the community and meet new friends. So it's good for us.
Yeah.
It's good for them.
Try to hang out for 4 or 5 minutes. If you can hang out for a little bit at least. Everybody like dumps as soon as you raid, and uh, that's less great. Doesn't help out the other folks. The miniature community is all about the second half of that. It's about the community. So let's see who we can find here.
We will be back here on Tuesday with some more sculpting.
Oh, I know who we can raid. We can raid Kawana Minis.
Oh, yeah, great.
She's
One of
streaming.
our new friends.
Mm-hmm. She's also coming to ReaperCon and is going to have a booth there.
Oh, cool.
Let me make sure I spell it right. Kawna.
We hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Again, thanks for coming out, and we will see you next week.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming. Have a fantastic weekend. And like I said, hang out, check out what she's doing. She's making anthro cats. Very stylized, pretty cool stuff. Here we go.